Hello, welcome to my dark cavern. Just got really dark. Anyways, I'm gonna be sharing my screen all the times, but I thought the light would be better. Okay. And this one, it's kind of like breaking down. Whatever. Anyways, welcome to your reading. Thank you for your patience. It's been a crazy time lately. So we're gonna dive right in. Let me turn my timer on. I know how long I've been talking for, approximately. Okay. So, where's my crystal? So, I like to get into a meditative state when I do these readings. So I'll share the screen a lot. I'll go back and forth. Depends on the reading. But let's see. So I have your last name hidden. So yeah. Let's just dive right in. So let's show the chart. Now the aspects are showing. Okay. So Moon square Pluto. Okay. Moon in Cancer square Pluto. Sun in Aries with Venus on it and Mars on it. Interesting. Very interesting. Um, and then there's some oppositions. Namely a T square. Wow. So you have Pluto opposite Sun in the square Moon, which is a massive T square, and it's tight too. You see Pluto down here, opposite Sun and Mars and Venus, and then square 90 degrees Moon and ascendant. Wow. So this is just like the most important part of the chart by far. And shoots out T square, the resolution is where the bottom part of the T square. It's like a bow and arrow. So like you imagine it shoots out at Capricorn around your descendant seventh house relationships. But North Node in Leo. All right. South Node eighth house Aquarius. North Node second house Leo. And then you got Saturn opposite Mercury. Chiron in Taurus. Very interesting. Well, and then Uranus 9 degrees. Okay. So what I can say right off the bat is that Pluto is the planet of death, rebirth, transformation, and that you are a very Scorpionic person, even though you don't have any Scorpio in your chart. Besides like Uranus, Black Lilith, and Juno, which are points that I am referring to. I'm referring to inner planets. And Plutonian slash Scorpionic, whatever you want to call it. It's really, really intense. Like, wow. So basically, how I would look at it is, when, so the moon, first of all, the moon is square the sun also, obviously, right? So that's going to speak about, so I'm really going to go into like parent stuff, childhood, psychology, all that. Um, Sun square moon, usually the parents are divorced. If they're not divorced, there's, a difference in opinion that they have, right? They just like general opinion, right? Of just what they value. Like if you have to like write a paragraph about what each one, like kind of like what each one valued, it would just be completely at odds. I actually did this in my book for my own parents, and I have the same thing, Sun Square Moon. So um, a lot of times, it's not all the time, but a lot of times it's like a divorce, or like just or something of that nature. Now, it could also be that they're still together, but they just don't see eye to eye, and there's lots of fight and lots of tension. And or that you just receive like a very different, like it kind of it creates like a split in the personality, like on a psychological level. A split is created where as the moon in Cancer and the sun in Aries, the two very, 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 very different energies, right? One's like as introverted and home oriented as it gets. Cancer, right? Very in touch with its emotions, and indignity in Cancer, right? It's like basically means like it's not like the best moon sign in Cancer, but the moon works like it's like connected to Cancer. It's ruled like Cancer is ruled by the moon basically, and it just means that what the moon's goals are aligned with Cancer. So when you have the moon in Cancer and you have the sun in Aries. Aries, it's actually a really good combination, just those two, because um um Aries, sun is very powerful. 1 second. Cat's birthday. Felix. Felix. Um, anyways. So yeah, like the sun in Aries is a very powerful placement. It's 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 the sun is indignant in Leo, and I believe it's exalted in Aries, and it just it's a really good sun moon combo, in the sense that like the sun feels comfortable in Aries and the moon feels comfortable in Cancer. Um, but this is like a big. I was doing a teaching lesson yesterday, where I was kind of showing my students about how you can just look at just like, for example, this, and say how good these two are. But um if you shy away from the extreme importance of the Pluto, then you're really, really missing out. And we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, overall, the square, and of course the ascendant is also in Cancer, which is very good to have your moon rising. Lots of artists have that. Ceres is there too, which is kind of like a second moon. Less important, but it does kind of make you like a very, very Cancer in terms of your emotional needs, and like how you feel nurtured and how you nurture. Um, and your ascendant in Cancer will make you come off in a way that's very aligned with your uh true emotional instincts in nature, which is very good, because you could have like someone else's chart could have like myself, I have a quincunx, which is a stressful um angle between my ascendant and my sun. So I appear very Leo, but really my sun is or actually, yeah, that's that's actually sun. That's different. But like I've had clients where yeah, their moon is in Cancer, maybe their ascendant's in Aries, so they come off as very rambunctious and outgoing and assertive, but they're actually a lot more introverted. But for you, it's not like that. It's like you come off similar to how you are truly on that emotional level, on that emotional, yeah, on you like it's kind of like what you yeah, wearing your emotions on your sleeves type of energy. Now, let's see. So with that square, yeah, I mean, one part of you, and I also like my square personally, just so you know, is water. It's Pisces in sun Sag moon, so it's like I totally I live this. There's a part of you that wants action, that wants independence, pioneering, that wants to just go out and just explore and just like novelty and fun and all these things, right? Aries is, can be a little bit of a troublemaker, risk taker. It wants to live life, um, and it's very social. But then the Cancer part, which is the moon, which is the one that runs the show, because the moon is what it takes to make you feel happy, while the sun is more about the core essence of who you are and your personality. Um, personality would be more ascendant, but like the core essence of who you are, your identity is the word I meant to use. So the Cancer part of you would really make you just way more introverted, way more family oriented, way more about the emotions, way more about being in touch with the emotions, and the fact that it's rising means that your emotions play a big role in your life in general. And you're able to really get them across in a way that's very positive. So Cancer can sometimes like repress, and you don't do that most likely. You probably are very comfortable with expressing what is. And Cancer moon, one of the great things about Cancer moon is that, like, unlike air moons, for example, like Gemini or Aquarius, who might have like an on metaphoric on off switch of their emotions, the Cancer moons, they just can't do that. Like they just, if something comes up, they cry. And it's not bad, because they emotions are energy, so they just let that energy out, and it's very powerful and very good for healing and meeting your own emotional needs. um so yeah, that's good. And yeah, just feeding both mouths is kind of where it's like, how can you be at the same time Aries and Cancer? You know, that's the question. But overall, the fact that Pluto is squaring your moon, your ascendant, this is a spiritual kind of rite of passage. Pluto is the planet of death, rebirth, transformation. It's how we experience our own personal darkness, and to have it in this sign, or squaring these planets, or squaring these two, uh, the moon and the ascendant. It just shows that, like, first of all, there's probably like, a lot of times with the moon in Pluto, we're speaking about like a overly interfering mother, um, because Pluto's doing that from the sun and the moon. Now, let me say that the moon is usually the mother, but charts do exist where it is the father. Whoever the more dominant parent was in the more masculine sense, the more present parent is usually the son, from what I've seen. Um, so yeah. Um, and 1 second, I need to hold on. Sorry, 1 second. Just hold for 1 second. Mika, no, stop. Mika, no, 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 no. Hold on. Sorry, it's something important that I have to handle like right now. Where the hell is my cat pushing down? You ever have your cat's as thieves? No, Mika. Okay, 1 second. 1 second. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, 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 good. Um, so yeah, with the Pluto, the way it is, there's typically like a power struggle that played out in childhood within the family. Could also be trauma. Um, but yeah, with the moon, it's one of the harder aspects in all of astrology. Um, and the opposition also of the moon, but like yeah, like it's really rough. And basically, um, you know, it creates someone who needs to really take lots of responsibility for their emotions and learn about like they're basically like pushed into their own darkness, right? So even the moon in Cancer, very well placed, it can make someone feel, and this is why it's so important that like when I was teaching my student yesterday, I was like, you have to like, this is like literally the best example of what I was teaching yesterday. I was like maybe like another astrologer that doesn't look at aspects would be like, oh, she has a Cancer moon, Aries sun. Well, guess what? Pluto, and this isn't a bad thing. This is long term a good thing, but because it's pushing you towards this 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 rebirth, right? But it gives like a very intense emotional life and lots of like compulsive behavior patterns, dark emotions. It can be self-destructive. Usually, earlier in life. You're born in 81, so you probably overcome a lot of this. Lots of crises. And it makes one really need to have like that psychological self-analysis ways, and it makes them very, very like psychological oriented. Um, because like the moon, everything's hidden here. So it creates, are the nodes involved? No. It creates kind of an energy where you're like, and you have the moon square Mars too. So, and yeah, and Venus. So like there's definitely this potential to be very, and there's yeah, okay. To be very like things can, you're very sensitive, right? Because your moon's in Cancer. So it's very likely that you didn't receive the nurturing that you needed when you were young. And fourth house Pluto also would indicate, with Saturn there in that house, Jupiter also, but still, probably like a, if not traumatic, just like really difficult, restrictive childhood. But then there could have been some good parts too with Jupiter, right? Um, where you like were able to like learn a lot from um that experience and have perspective on it, which will lead you as an adult to really want to kind of use that as an example, right? So it's like it's like someone who can learn a lot, who doesn't just like play victim, who can like learn a lot from whatever happened to them. But really the moon square Pluto person, the emotional reactions come from a very unconscious, hidden place. And that's why they really need to like go into their shadow and figure out like, why am I acting like this, right? Um, why do I get triggered when this happens, right? Because moon square Pluto or Mars, right? Which also means you have Mars opposite Pluto, which is one of the most explosive places in all astrology. Um, Basically, it creates the firecracker. Someone who can just who can just get triggered by something and just like not know what it was. And as a Cancer moon, you read the definitions of it and you might, be like, okay, that's not really me. Of course there is that emotional need for comfort, for security, for and it really does make you like, and don't worry, I'm gonna get into the whole integration of it, which is very powerful. When you're a Cancer moon, you integrate properly the Pluto energy. Oof. Um, but like, yeah, there's just like there can be like self-sabotaging. It's all about like self-control. Like so a lot of times like the mother was very controlling. Um, and there can be like hidden anger, pain related to like the family, home, early childhood, all that. And yeah, it's usually like, yeah, an obsessive or overly interfering mother. And a lot of times there's also like a big ancestral, lots of ancestral cycles going on here, right? And this fourth house would show that. And a lot of my clients, I say this to them because it shows in their chart that they're the ones who are meant to really like break through, to be the ones that break through this cycle in their family. And so it's a lot of times it's through like really close relationships that these the shadow gets uncovered. And it just makes, it can make someone like be really really smothering when they do kind of meet someone who they think can meet their needs and can put them on a pedestal, and just this like real back and forth. They're gonna be like this tendency to like control and want to like hold on to that person at all costs, which doesn't work out. Um, so it's all about just like higher awareness, journey into the underworld, encountering like the darker side of human nature and of yourself. Um, Usually sexual behavior is usually a strong theme here, like more taboo areas. And there can just be like yeah, like it can just make you a very compulsive person. Um, which can, to watch out for like substance abuse, diet, like anything, right? Anything that's like and the Mars can make one quick to anger because you're so sensitive as a Cancer moon that little things can really set you off. But then like there can be like this Aries energy, which is this so super powerful, just like boom, like dominant energy that then comes in and just like can just destroy. And then the Cancer moon feels really, really bad for what happened. And it's the cycle, right? Of this need to slow things down and to get to the bottom of everything. And that's, it might sound like a bad thing, but it's like I see this in a lot of charts of people who are meant for great things on a metaphysical level and just on a soul growth level, which is what I talk about, you know, because like it wouldn't without this energy, um, you know, you wouldn't be pushed into spirituality and into getting a deeper awareness of yourself and growing. So it's really, yeah, it's through these darker times that you transform and you shed the skin and you let go of the need for controlling and you surrender. And it's all about learning self-control, right? So mindfulness, anything like, yeah, related to like mindfulness can be really good. And of course, like with the opposition of Sun in Aries opposite the moon or Pluto, excuse me, Sun and Mars in Aries. Mars in Aries is extremely like good for like sports and anything physical, right? It's also usually makes one very, very sexual. Um, or like high libido, I guess you could say. Um, there's this, yeah, there's this big need to have an outlet and to kind of like, yeah, learn to slow things down and figure out, okay, where is this coming from? I'm feeling this way. Like my reaction is to like my immediate reaction is this. And really when you're able to slow down, that's where everything opens up and you grow spiritually on such a high level. Um, yeah, there can be like lots of psychological issues with that. Um, I've seen like, you know, personality disorders come from Moon, Pluto, and just Pluto in general. So, um, but like in the end of the day, it comes down to how you see yourself, right? And it can really like how you feel, your emotions and all that can be really, really like it's about, yeah, it's complete surrender and healing, right? While someone else who might have the same shit, we all have our psychological shit baggage, might not do anything about it. You're, you know, you're really dealing with a lot of it in this lifetime. So that's an indicator of a advanced soul, as I call it. And yeah, and then with the ascendant, it's just it's kind of the same energy. It's the same. It's more just like how it shows up in the behavior, and it can make one have like a very kind of like back and forth, up and down view of themselves, and yeah, it's real tough for relationships early on. Um, really, 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 but like you know, there's extreme like if you're like an athlete, like it'd be like amazing, you know, because um, or someone who just like sports or athletics, like because being able to channel it physically, super super competitive, so it's like amazing for being a leader also. Um, but yeah, there's like the subconscious fear that others are like trying to control you, and it leads to lots of dramas, especially early in life, right? Um, and power struggles in relationships. A lot of it comes from the parents. maybe it's something that they had with themselves. And you know, with Saturn on your IC, which rules childhood, it's it's likely that there's something there. And when we look at that further, it's like there's like a fear of being taken advantage of, right? But like, you know, just this energy in general makes someone very secretive. They'd rather have like a few really, really good friends they're really, really close to. It can make lots of trust issues, um, issues with being, you know, vulnerable. And yeah, it's really just like about awareness once again, you know, like it makes one very, very intense. So even as a Cancer rising, which, you know, if I just read your big three like they are, very chill. Well, the Pluto square will, you know, will add this like real competitive kind of like edge, and this real dynamic edge. So understand that's very, very important. Otherwise, like the intensity can just spiral out of control. There can be like psychological abuse to the self, to others, um, all the negative Scorpio stuff, revenge, conflict, all that, intimidation. So yeah, learning to compromise and trust is like a huge life lesson karmically. And just like being honest, you know, and open. So yeah. But also it's like very esoteric, and it makes you really, really interested in kind of like the undercurrents and also like the darker sides of the world. Um like fascinated by the dark and the mysterious, right? And the unknown and the underworld kind of stuff. Um so also there can be like a big fear of losing the father. And yeah, just like all kinds of difficult stuff, like victimization, superior complex. And but then of course it's like the huge potential for spiritual evolution to transcend that need for like complete control and power in relationships. So that's that. Because at the end of the day, the Cancer moon, you know, wants peace, it wants security, it wants that emotional well-being. Um, and then we throw in, okay, so then the sun in Aries, right, in the 10th house, it's like someone who's very driven in their career, especially with Mars there, who's a go-getter and who is, you know, like this is totally the chart of someone who could just be like a CEO, just like type energy, just like entrepreneur, whatever. Especially midheaven Aries, probably not like, yeah, more entrepreneur, someone who wants to really like who has this firepower that just moves them forward. And you know, maybe they using you like utilizing like doubters as kind of their fuel. But so with the sun in Aries already very competitive, um when you throw in, you know, the opposition with Pluto, it's just like this big struggle to safely express your sense of ego and self. Um, there can be perfectionism too, and it's similar themes. It's all about like control, and it goes back to, you know, essentially a father that demanded very high standards, maybe both parents, um, and lots of times it's like interpersonal relationships that where there's lots of struggle and battles in those, right? And you know, through those comes the death rebirth transformation. And That's like just like a constant in your life, right? And it's all about just accepting imperfection and like some people with this can be very, very dominant, manipulative, stubborn, um, all those things. But like there's also this deep need to like know the truth, right? Like it's very probing. It makes like an investigator, someone who wants to go deep, 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 right? It can give like occult and psychic abilities as well. And these can also be your tools for that transformation, right? And a lot of times the opposition of the sun in Pluto, there's like these major crises, which force you to make these changes, right? Um, and it is a lifelong process of inner work. Um, but like, at a certain point, evolutionary point, um, you you come to terms with your self-image and it's all about how you're expressing power. Like it's about finding power within yourself, right? As opposed to like trying to dominate. And makes someone very influential, a great leader, someone who can have like an impact and someone who can heal other people psychologically, and who just knows so much about themselves and so much about so much psychological, emotional intelligence. But yeah, you kind of understand how the warning signs are there, right? And then you add Mars and Venus, right? Um, and Mars opposite Pluto is like one of the most explosive. Like it's someone who needs to have like a level of they need to like have like a physical outlet, right? Because there's so much intense energy. It's like this volcanic, the most volcanic placement probably, right? Um, so like a creative or physical outlet, very important. Yeah, like I said, like feeling like you have to like overcome the odds, improve yourself all the time, and especially when young, as I said, right? And sometimes a lot of people with Mars opposite Pluto, they can feel like victimized when they're, like when they're younger, very hard on themselves, very competitive, as I said before, high expectations that come, with the Saturn on the IC down here. It could be that, you know, they're like a very restrictive energy from like the childhood, and even like abusive dominant parents or just like teachers or whatever, and just like superiors, yeah. So yeah, it's really important to have, because it creates someone who's very independent, very strong, right? um but who can be quite hostile, so and very, very intense, and they might not even notice that, right? It can be intimidating to other people, but it's all about transmutation, right? So this is like so much Pluto energy in your chart, and it's through that relentless determination, um, and that deep investigation of your actions, which Mars is like your actions, right? And like any self-sabotaging um, tendencies, and like really looking at those and seeing how they like where they really come from, right? It's all through trial and error. It's not like through books or anything like that. It comes through the lessons learned in life. Um, it also gives off a lot of like sexual magnetism. Um, and yeah, there's like a big need to like a big karmic responsibility with this one, right? But like so many famous people have this, like so many super successful people, because they're able to like take that raw Mars energy with Pluto and combine them and they're able to just really, really get ahead and find that real personal power within themselves. The key is to not abuse it, right? And with Venus and Pluto, that's an interesting one. I have the square, so I get it. It can create lots of issues around self-love and in relationships with yourself. Well, the relationship with yourself can be difficult. It creates like lots of like very karmic, like intense instant attractions, especially with Venus in Aries. And you know, very, very karmic. So like all like the relationships, and they can be very dark. And basically, like until like a certain level of self-love is learned, or kind of, yeah, when you arrive at that point, um, that's when, like, until then, a lot of people who have this, they date people who are kind of more dark, and there's like this yeah, more dangerous kind of people, like kind of darker sides of reality. And yeah, it can create lots of power struggles in relationships, and make someone go for like the wrong type of person. And it goes back to the whole, like everything I've talked about, you know. But there is like a lot of attractive power. And sometimes people who have this at a low vibe will use that to kind of coerce people into kind of doing things their way. But it's really like, you know, through relationships that you learn so much, because there can be a cycle, you know. So like it can be like either like taking advantage of or being taken advantage of. And sometimes there's even like real hard stuff like domestic violence, the R word, and yeah, being interested in, like I said, in like the more dangerous people, um that really teach you about like the darker sides of humanity and the darker sides of yourself. And through like, yeah, meditation, things like astrology, psychology, you can really open up the psychic ability. And you know, one thing that this Pluto energy does have is this unbelievable recuperative power, right? And this ability to just like do a 180 and just completely transform. And being such a Plutonian, you've probably gone through such major transformations. They're so intense that like you look back on yourself at different eras in your life and you're like, I don't even recognize that person. Like that was like like that was like an actress playing me, you know, because it's so far from, you know, who you are at the present time. Um, so yeah, it's a lot, but yeah, definitely like some people who have like a lot of this, like sometimes they might smoke the green stuff, or have some type of like, because like it can make like regulation, emotional regulation, pretty difficult, and even like just like physical regulation. So they can become like too dependent um on like, you know, I've just seen this a lot on the green stuff, you know, to regulate their emotions. But yeah, through meditation, through deep spiritual work, um, that's not needed anymore. So it's just about like, yeah, like the Saturn return 30 around that time, especially the Pluto square Pluto. around what, like it's like from like 36-ish. Like, when does that happen? Wait, I just wrote about this. One sec. Let's see, age. So you're born in 81. So yeah, around like 38, which is 9. Yeah, so like recently, the Pluto, when Pluto square Pluto by transit, that's like when you really like someone who has so much Pluto in their chart, um, they're really kind of forced to kind of transform and regenerate and really look at all those detrimental habits. But of course, it can come a lot earlier. But they really see and start to take responsibility for a lot of those things. And it all has to do, because astrology is free will mixed with a chart, right? So it's like you could have two people with the exact same chart. One of them could be like a power dominant person, while the other one could be someone who is knows this at a young age and who has made the necessary changes. And with so much of that, of so many, with Pluto aspecting nearly everything, right? Every inner planet of the big six besides Mercury, um, there's a big, I would say, my guess would be that it was pretty obvious, and that there were lots of crises that were overcome. Now we come to like the positive, like kind of how it all integrates. Well, then you have Aries with Pluto, and that's just like I said, the ultimate person who is just a like extremely powerful individual who's capable of doing anything, and who's gotten past this this I guess tendency, or this these cycles, these self-sabotaging cycles, and who is able to like look at themselves honestly and be like, okay, cool, and slow things down, and have that outlet. And lacking Earth in your chart is very important too, because Earth, I have no Earth either, so I know how it is basically like the ability to be consistent, the ability to kind of have like a sense of groundedness, I guess you could say. So when you have no Earth, um, it's difficult, right? Because Earth is also about routine, and in order to like overcome you know these types of aspects, it's really important to have a routine. And you have Neptune in the sixth house. Sixth house is the house of day-to-day life. It would make you really like benefit a lot from having like a daily spiritual practice, right? um and kind of the normal day-to-day 9 to 5 kind of energy could be really draining for you, and really not fitting. I also have Neptune in the sixth, so I can relate there too, where you feel like you want to do something that's different, right? Especially with midheaven in Aries, like you probably don't do well with bosses, and you want to be the captain to your own ship. So yeah, putting yourself in that position is very key. Um, hmm, And then with the Cancer Pluto like integrated, yeah, it's like it's someone who can be just the ultimate mother, the ultimate nurturer, the ultimate healer, and someone who has this unbelievable emotional intelligence. Now, when we go further, and of course, your Black Moon Lilith is in Scorpio, um, that speaks about like the darker side of your personality. I mean, like it goes without saying, right? That with all these Pluto aspects, you see how I'm putting the puzzle together. Black Moon Lilith is kind of like it's not a planet, but it's like you at your worst, at your lowest vibration. In Scorpio, it's just someone who, yeah, who can exhibit all those lower Scorpio energies that I spoke about. I know you're not on Instagram anymore, but I just had a post about the high, medium, and low manifestation of Scorpio. So I would check that out. You can just literally go on Google, Jesse Instant Astro IG. I'm sure you can still see it without an account. I released it, I think, yesterday, 2 days ago. 2 days ago. So yeah, like really going towards the higher energy of Scorpio, but like yeah, the self-defeating pattern of the manipulation and the power struggles and kind of being able to like really know exactly how to hurt someone psychologically, like that's kind of how the Black Moon plays out there. And I think that there's wounding around inner child, right? There's a need to be able to express like Aries in the highest form, which is like the first sign, right? Of just going and doing, um, experiencing, experimenting. Um, but maybe when you grew up, you didn't really have like the real ability to do that. And with all these Pluto aspects, there's probably a lot of like, just yeah, like I said, like crises types situations that came up. Um, and then we speak about your Mercury in Aries, so that's aspected by Saturn mostly, um, opposite Saturn and Jupiter, and it's creating it can create someone who is like Mercury's how you speak, so in how you think, so Aries, Mercury, they can be very very assertive in that way, but then the Saturn can kind of create energy where you feel restricted in your ability to like really to really express your true self, right? Now it does bring lots of intelligence, any Mercury Saturn connection. um Saturn is memory, Mercury is intelligence, so it's gonna bring that. But yeah, it can create lots of frustration, sadness, because there can be difficulty with connecting to people on a personal level. And it can just make one like lack communication skills. Um, Sometimes especially with all the Aries, there can be like a ADHD kind of like energy, like a poor attention span, um, and just like being like really really feeling misunderstood. I could see that in your chart. Um, and also just like feeling like it's so hard to like really share your knowledge and in your truth in an understandable way. And this one would have become a lot easier around 30 years old, Saturn turn. And it can, yeah, make someone like feel like they like there's like a struggle to be taken seriously, uh, especially within their own family. And what can happen though is that it can create someone who becomes like a master of communication. Usually more when it comes to like writing. Writing can be very powerful. And like yeah, real deep thinking. But there can also be like a kind of pessimistic, negative thinking patterns that can lead to depression. Um, like lots of times there's like harsh words from the parents, usually the father, um, and just trying to like shape you in a way that's like not how you want to be shaped, right? Um, like lots of criticism, right? So yeah, it's all about like this rewiring of the brain, this conscious effort towards that, and it's like this yeah, this lifelong work around like there's this book Nonviolent Communication that I think everyone should read. That's really good for communication skills and whatnot. Um, but yeah, just like it can be difficult as others might see you as lonely or sad, and it can just yeah be very difficult for that, and it can create like an inferiority complex, right? Um, and it can make one very suspicious, defensive, and sometimes like the education is interrupted. But it's like really like something that you see like with people who are like in politics or big business, and yeah, just like fewer friends, but better friends, right? Because like trusting can be difficult. Um, so like when you find the people who really do understand you, it's very important to be with them, but not in like in a obsessive way, right? And a lot of times people who have this, very smart, but they feel like they're not getting like the recognition they deserve intellectually. Um, so also it can make someone who's like sometimes narrow-minded, very opinionated, and it's really important also like from a medical astrology standpoint to not smoke, um, because there can be like respiratory issues associated with it. And what else can I say about this one? Yeah, just like it can make like the kind of like day-to-day organizational structures like difficult, right? So it's really important to 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 enhance that earth energy, which you have none of like in your chart. Um, and to find a routine that just works for you, whether it's like, meditation each day for X amount of hours, journaling, uh, really getting writing huge. So yeah, and I think Neptune the sixth definitely like wants to be of service also, which is like a big boost. Like when you can live a life of service. Um, I mean this could be the chart of like, a CEO, entrepreneur, or like a master psychologist. But like I said, even like, like a professional athlete could have a chart like this. We can know. Um, or an artist, right? Because the moon is rising series, so it's like you really, feel nurtured when you like when you form close emotional bonds and when you're able to nurture others with you know like with that Cancerian kind of motherly energy. Like you love to receive that, and you love to give that. Um, but yeah, your emotions will play a huge part. And also with Cancer moons, they have to know that like to pay attention to the lunar cycles is super important. You'll feel them more than others. And I would definitely recommend getting the second reading, which most people do, everyone does, is after this one, instead of just getting only the follow-up, to get the follow-up and current astrology. And in that we would it's like usually 3 hours, first hour's follow-up of this reading, and then we dive into the current astrology, which is, seeing kind of the energy of the now, current chapter, what, the transits are saying, what the progress chart, progressions, solar arc, you name it, everything. Solar return, and just to understand like what's happening now. So yeah, lots of aspects. Let's see. And then with the moon also, like, so yeah, it is this constant kind of battle between like, how can I feed the Cancer side that's more introverted with the Aries side that's more go-getter, but the Cancer moon is in the house of Aries, in the first house. So it's like if you're whatever profession or whatever you're doing on that level, you can use this like really advanced, like if you were like in business, for example, you can use this really advanced like psychological analysis to get you further. Like if you're like an entrepreneur who like was hiring people, you know who to hire based on your intuition. But just like really learning to listen to that. Of course, there's so much healing that is the theme of this life, and it's probably like it's like high risk, high reward chart, right? It's one of the harder charts I've seen, by the way. Not good, not bad, because the harder charts are the ones that people they struggle, but then um, you know, uh, there's no sunshine without rain, and the sunshine is unbelievable. But yeah, control and surrender and listening and having this more like this demeanor that's more in line with the ascendant in Cancer, which is receptive and kind of containing that excess of fire, which can really like burn everything down like suddenly. Um, and yeah, so like the big thing though is okay, so it shoots out into the seventh house of relationships. So that's kind of saying that the major healing um comes through relationships in the descendants in the Capricorn. So it's like uh a mix of career, right? Of like finding the suitable career that can help with everything, but then also compromising in a romantic relationship or relationships that kind of you learn a lot from these. And having no earth, it could really benefit to have someone that feels like home, especially like as a Cancer moon, someone who really gets and understands like that things can swing back and forth, the moon and Pluto. And you'll be someone also moon trying Uranus. It might be a natural skill you even notice in yourself, where you can like psychic abilities, where you can like just get downloads, especially when you're able to calm things down and just be so in tune with the undercurrents. And Uranus in the fifth house and create an artist of sorts, someone who is really has kind of like eccentric, um differing than the norm things they're interested in, whether it's like job, career, or 1 sec. um So yeah, but yeah, relationships is really the key, and finding that ground, and when we pull it all back to the north node, right? So the south node is in the eighth house. So there's definitely like past life kind of scorpionic energy, that you come in this life with kind of a knowledge of being able to transform these things. So it's not like you're just like left in the middle of the ocean. Like you do have this ability, and south node in Aquarius people, and I get so many of them because it's opposite mine. They sometimes find it difficult to take center stage because the north node is in Leo. So you're meant to be more Leo. You're meant to, your life's meant to have this kind of like real creative purpose, and it's ruled by the sun in the 10th. So like your career and your dharma is this amazing area, right, where you can just make massive changes, and you're meant to really shine in whatever you do and be a star. And it's okay to be selfish. A lot of people, like I said, with that Aquarius South node, they've given a lot of themselves in past lives. They've been of service. They have been the ones who are, yeah, like just like group oriented, and this, that, and the third, and who and they're totally fine with not getting the recognition. But in this life, it's like I think that there is a need for recognition, um, and I think that having all that Aries um, helps that. Definitely helps that. But yeah, it's just getting past all those things I mentioned. Then mm, so dealing with like in the healing work, it's really based on like looking at the childhood, and dealing with that. But you could be a very gifted communicator, and very gifted, because your nodes are trining Mercury, which with the opposition of Jupiter can be someone who might say a lot, but like, yeah, so that goes back to the need for groundedness and for thinking before you're speaking, and all that. But also just like a very philosophical person, right? Jupiter in Libra in retrograde's like someone who's internally very philosophical, and they really uh are very good. Jupiter, so this is a really good thing that can help a lot, is Jupiter and Libra are very good at being the diplomats, right? So it can add like a lot of fairness and a lot of like um needed um diplomacy, and seeing both sides of seeing both sides in different confrontations, or in different situations. But second house north node, right, as I was saying, is about finding values. It's about doing it on your own, right? um Not relying on others, and really in this life, there's that energy of going within yourself for the answers, and finding morals and values that you can subscribe to, that yeah, that kind of complement you, and that you lead your life based off of those. So let's see here. So with like love in general, I think that of course Juno's in Scorpio, so needing someone, of course, who like I said, who on one hand is like your rock, right? And on the other hand, you couldn't be with someone who's just like boring and not exciting. But then on a very important note is Moon in Cancer, Juno in Scorpio, someone who feel like that person feels like home, and you're not putting too much on them, right? So they allow you to have your independence in the sign, but someone where there's like they understand, right? They understand like they're also like transforming. They're also on this transformational journey. It doesn't have to take form in the way of them being like extremely spiritual or into astrology or anything like that, but like you know, the ideal partner would be someone who fifth house can help illuminate that inner child and have some fun around that, have some fun with that person, adventures and all that, but then also get really serious, and have those deep, intimate talks and really, really very, very close on that emotional level. And also like Venus in you probably like I would imagine that you know um lots of Venus and Aries people, especially Mars and Aries, like they're go-getters also in love. And they, you know, they see someone they like, they're gonna go after them. They're not shy. Um, which of course Mercury opposite Saturn can make someone shy up until like Saturn return at times, but there's so many other parts of your chart, which also, could play out in a different way where you could just be like very, very like analyze like a very, very deeply analytical. Like once you realize, okay, like I have these tendencies that can be a little bit self-sabotaging, to be someone who's kind of really, really like looking around and analyzing, like, is this like what, like how should I come across, and that's the right way to be, is to have restraint, um to have restraint and yeah. So let's see. Um, let's put my camera back on my face. How about that? So obviously lots of intensity. Like, you know, not feeling like very supported early in life, which can make someone feel like they don't have like a firm footing in going forward. But they really want to, they work their ass off to build a really, really solid foundation, and they want to create like a home life for themselves and their family, moving like future family that's maybe different than um, what they came into, what they had. And even Saturn and Libra can have someone who can be very like responsible and create long lasting relationships. And yeah, just like very, very lots of commitment in that area. Um, and then like, yeah, a part of fortune, the fourth in Libra, it's like your greatest joy is like when you're really in touch with your inner self, right? With that Cancerian moon, with your emotions, when you're really in touch with them and you're not repressing anything, you're really fully honest, and your emotions are your greatest power. You can move mountains with your emotions. Um, and yeah, like I think like so many artists have that that moon rising. And also like detaching from worldly expectations is very important, and familiar, and kind of like I said before, there could be just the cycle in your family, of generation, 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 and you could be the one that's here to like stop it. Um, in Libra, it's like lots of joy comes when you actually create that sense of harmony, right? And you feel that sense of belonging and peace, especially within the home and within the inner life. So yeah, and I already talked about Pluto in the fourth house, like a volcanic early home environment. Early childhood traumas is common with this that are seething beneath the surface, which ultimately like is what like gets projected a lot, or could, maybe I'm speaking past. I'm just saying like I read these the same for someone that's 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Like, yeah. Um, and you're from Louisiana, so maybe there's something with Katrina. I don't know. There's like it could have been like some big issue with the home, and yeah. And okay, let's see. Vertex and the sticks, it's like your doorway to higher awareness is through being of service. And also through, creating that routine, that health, that diet, but like that spiritual type of like spiritual routine, is that what I can say? Like, yeah, I already talked about that. Like something like a day-to-day routine that feeds your soul um on many levels. Physical, emotional, spiritual, so forth. And yeah, and then Chiron being in the 11th, in Taurus, it's like you can be a healer of groups of people, but there can also be lots of pain that's felt that you experience within friend groups. Um, but then you want to become friends with other wounded healers, as they say, right? And like in Taurus, it's like about having like a crisis of like values, right? Where you might not trust your body. Some people with this, they don't feel like comfortable in their own skin. Um, a lack of self-worth early on, and sometimes they overcompensate by like trying to accrue so much money in earthly possessions. So yeah, it's really like about leaning into like trusting your body, like yeah, like trusting your body, and trusting like kind of like the somatic, you know psychology, right? Like your intuition, and things like yoga are super super helpful, because it's in earth, right, the Chiron. So it's like um just with your north node being in the house of Taurus, it's like about yeah, really finding that groundedness, and also like learning to not have shame around what could have happened when you were young, and you have all these 10 out of 10 intense energies. um and so much creativity. Wow. So you have Venus. Wow. Okay. Venus trine Neptune is like the ultimate creative. And Sun trine Neptune also. So it's like amazing imagination. Someone who can like create through their intuition. Like it's like a link between like the Venus is like, if you're a painter, it's like the act of painting, and then Neptune is the inspiration, and them trying each other, it brings those two together, which is obviously like one of the best aspects for someone who's a creative. And yeah, and also like very compassionate person with Neptune trining your sun and Cancer moon, like super compassionate. So using that to the highest um, manner is very, very key. And then midheaven conjunct Mercury, people can have career changes. They can like even like have like two careers at once. They can like get to a certain point where they're like, okay, I want to try something new. And then all that Aries power, solar power in the career can just make you a powerhouse at whatever you want to do. As long as like the whole power struggle thing and being able to like work, like, because like a lot of the healing is with groups, like within your groups, um and people you work with and whatnot. It's about finding the right people. um so yeah, you can be someone with Palace and Taurus who can heal through your hands, or just like really really being able to see the beauty in nature and in the arts. So like getting in nature, hiking is very, very good when you lack earth, gardening, stuff like that. And yeah, really wanting to like work in a way that benefits humanity. And yeah, very, very good for being influential in society. Um Eris on the midheaven, it's like, okay, firepower in career. Whatever you want. I've already said this before. Like whatever you want to do, like you can do it, you know? And Eris conjunct Mars, it's like even more volcanic firepower. Like, man, yeah, just like if you were like a professional athlete, I would be like not surprised at all. And let's see, Vesta, talk about series already. Vesta in Leo, um, that just makes one very like committed to in the second house to finding those values I talked about. Um, really able to like to focus on like find like creating money, entrepreneurship, all that, physical comfort in your life. Um, very very tenacious, and yeah, like best in Leo. It's like you work best when you're um left to your own devices. When you're able to do your own thing and feel lots of pride in your work. And yeah, like finding like work where it's like play and work are like one, having fun with what you're doing. Okay, let's see what's going on with any fixed stars. Second. So let's see. Neptune in the Galactic Center just gives you like psychic powers. Just like real, just like knowledge of the esoteric. And like Aphrodite on there, like just seductive powers in general. Let's see if there's any out of bounds plans. Look at that. Reports. Nope. See if there's any parallels. Okay. Uranus and Moon are contraparallel. So it's kind of like an opposition. I look at it like that. So that's just like very rebellious energy, you could say. And then the ascendant's at 22. No, it's Neptune. Yeah, it's Neptune. And no, it's Uranus. Uranus and Moon and then Neptune and ascendant. So yeah, like just like it can create kind of like yeah, just issues seeing yourself clearly. Um Fog, but like also just like a very like imaginative person who wants to like make their kind of almost create a life for themselves where it's like their imagination's imprinted into their daily life and their dreams are fulfilled and are like carried into their day-to-day life. And um with the Uranus and the Moon parallel, it's like very rebellious energy. Someone who just doesn't want to just do things the way that people tell them they should do them, pretty much. Which is interesting because you have the trine by longitude, but the latitude there, one's here, which are parallel, but then like they're trine. So it's like an interesting combo of Moon and Uranus. But like really like, that's you can feel very misunderstood. Especially emotionally with all the Pluto, it makes total sense to me. And how when we want to rebel from like, their background and whatnot. Okay. Let me open up my, this notes thing. I have a database that I don't look through that often. So yeah, so Sappho is on your moon, and it's about like emotional sensitivity, feminine creation, and just like sensitivity. It gives lots of beauty, physical beauty, and sensitivity. So that's nice. And then yeah, and then the fact you have Sirius around your ascendant, it's just like even though you do have a lot of Pluto energy, you can come off as like such a nurturing person, such a nurturing person. Um, let me open something up here. And is it Nessus? So Nessus is on the ascendant. Where'd it go? So that's about abuse. Um, so usually, yeah, Nessus ascendant is someone who had like abuse present throughout their life. Um, usually with the mother, and then it can carry on to like the husband. And there can be like difficulties realizing how the relationships in their life were abusive, and there can be issues with walking away from these. Sometimes they identify with the abuse in a certain way, like feeling like they deserved it, or like it's an inherent part of their life. And yeah, so like strong identification with the concept of abuse. So yeah, really important to do inner child healing, EMDR, CBT, stuff like that. Could be great. Um, anything else? Hmm. So Pluto and Spica. Um, how close are they though? Very close. That's actually like really good for wealth and fame, honor. Um, so yeah, like success in general. It's a really good one. And I think that's pretty much. I don't see any midheaven. No, we already talked about that. Yeah, and then your moon it's in Pisces, Neptune, Decan, and it's Pisces degrees, so it's like you know, more compassion, more of a kind of Cancer Piscean, like a real ability to kind of like see the big picture and be deeper connection to the divine and very very high occult spiritual potential. And the sun and the degree of Sagittarius, it's like someone who can who's really looking for the higher purpose, right? Higher purpose in life. And let's see over here. So let's pull, yeah, like truth seeking, like really someone who's like, and we've shown this in like your whole chart. And it's funny, like you got your reading done by me, right? Like you could have had your reading done by a different astrologer, which would have skipped over like the most important parts of your chart. like how much of this reading was I talking about aspects? Like that is the most important part of your chart is these Pluto aspects. So I'm happy that you came to me. Let's see. My legs are hurting from my run. Okay. Oh, a more conjunct Mercury. It's just like, I mean, Mercury's your mind, so you can really be very romantic, like love letters and just like someone who, I just see you as someone who can be very committed, um, and like just so grateful for finding, your person and just being like such a good, like really just like I want to like emphasize like before I finish like how I've done charts like this, and I usually like am amazed, and I think you got to follow up, right? Let me check. Yeah. So like I'm always very amazed by how when I speak to them live, right? And hopefully you email me back and you decide to do the follow up and current, and it's usually like 300 or something, but I would do it for 230. So you just need to let me know, and we just set up a date, clear everything out of my schedule, and just be you for that date. If not, if you want to just do the follow up, that's totally cool too. But like I said, the only people who aren't doing the current astrology also, it's only when it's like a financial constraint, but it's the best. But I just want to say like yeah, like there's always so much gratitude. I feel I'm gonna email you right now. Just okay. Like there's always so much gratitude. Always so much light. I feel like because they've gone through so much, and they're so like so in touch with spirit, and they look back and they're like, man, I overcame the odds, you know. And even just like I don't know anything about you. I never looked at a photo of you. I do this on purpose with every client. I don't want to know anything about them. Um, I don't even know. You have Instagram, so I can't even like look. Um, but yeah, there usually is this feeling of having like really moved past a lot. And yeah, like I said, just even like having come to me, it's like an indication that like yeah, things might not be perfect, but you are searching for answers, and you probably found a lot, and I'm excited to speak with you, and I hope you enjoyed this reading. It was a pleasure. Um, yeah, I don't see any other asteroids or fixed stars that are. I really went over everything. How long did I go for? Of course, always so long. Yeah. Anyways, speak soon, or we'll figure out a date, loaded schedule. That we can figure it out. We will figure it out, and hope you enjoyed. Hope this was a good experience. All right. Bye bye. Ciao.